Welcome to the Let's Talk BS podcast. I'm Bryan.
And I'm Sofia, and we're coming to you live from the
757.
You forgot the new intro.
I did.
I thought you was going to remember. We good.
All right. Yeah. Take
How's
two.
It going?
Nah, everything's good. Everything is good. It's Friday.
It's Friday.
Start of a new month. Wake up, wake up, wake up. It's the first of the month.
It is. Today is what? The first day of
March.
Is it Women's History.
Oh, it is?
Yeah, first
March
day
is?
of...
Okay.
Hold on, let me get this right.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. First day of...
I'm about to say, I know they didn't give us black.
It's the first day of Women's History Month. There we go.
That makes sense. I was about to say, you said black. I'm like, I know we had Black
We
History
didn't
Month.
get two.
They ain't giving us two in a row. I didn't know that for a fact.
That is true.
You called me off
Sorry.
guard when you said that
That's
one.
why I was like, black. Hold on, wait. Let me go back and make sure. Skeet.
Yeah.
But how's your week been going?
Week's been good. Week's been
Yeah.
doing good. February flew by, obviously, with it being short.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, we're starting now a new month.
Man, we already in March. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
We're already in March.
Yeah.
I felt like 2023 went by so fast.
Yeah, it
And
did.
now we're already in March, and it feels like this year is going by super fast as well.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, life's flashing. Life is going by fast, I would say.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's definitely flying by.
Absolutely.
But yeah. This week was good. Let me think. Last weekend, what did I do? Didn't really do much. My kids had a they call it Bestie Fest at their school, where they just pretty much get all the kids, all the parents together. They rent out like this big, facility and just kind of they have a DJ, they have games,
Aww.
contests. Kids get their face painted. They can create masks. They had food and all that. So it's something they do every single year around this time. And so that was really cool. We went to that. That was last Saturday afternoon. And that was pretty much it for real. Like I said, I think I mentioned in the last podcast, since we've been out of town, I think the week before, 2 weeks before, we hadn't really had much planned. And my son's basketball season's over now. So
So got a break.
yeah, got a little break. He starts. I got him in football, though. He wanted to, because this spring, there was either football, track, or baseball. So I asked him which one he wanted to do. And
How would you have to be to run track?
I think 5. So I spoke to a track coach.
Let me know about that, because I feel like Carter would be really good at running track.
Run track, yeah.
Yeah, he loves to run. I took them to the park. What day was it when it was warm? Tuesday?
This week?
Yeah.
It was
Tuesday,
warm a couple
Wednesday?
days this week. Yeah, it was warm a couple days this week.
Warm when it wasn't raining. So I think that was Wednesday. Maybe Tuesday.
I played golf Tuesday, so I think I know it was warm Tuesday.
Okay,
yeah.
so I took them to the park, and so I get there, and it's no, it was actually Wednesday. I went Wednesday. No, it was Tuesday, because Wednesday my daughter got on punishment, so it was Tuesday. So we go to the park, and all he wanted to do was get on a swing at first, and I was like, look, we come to the park for you to run around so you can get tired. Like, sitting on the swing is
So
just
you
not
get
it. Right. So I was like, well, let's play, you and Jada play tag. So he was like, okay. Oh my gosh. He ran around that park so many different times that Jada got tired. And she was like, whew, I'm winded. And Carter was still running. He was like, he was an Energizer bunny. He just kept going and going and going and going. So I was like, track might be for him.
Yeah.
Long distance track, not just sprinting, but long distance. Like, he could just keep going and going and going. And I've actually taken him. So you've been to Oak Grove, the lake.
Mm-hmm.
I've taken him running with me, and he can run Oak Grove. I've taken him to Mount Trashmore. He can run around the whole mountain nonstop.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a runner. He's a runner. He's
Sound
a
like
track
a
star.
Sound like he a long distance runner too.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
more of a long distance than a sprinter.
Yeah.
But he's little, so
Yeah. The conversation I had. So what I'm gonna probably do is for my son, I asked him what sport he wanted to play this spring, and he said football. Yeah, he loves football. Football is his thing. So the football season starts at the end of this month, so I got him signed up for that. So he's excited about that. But what I'm gonna do is later in the spring and especially during the summertime, I spoke to a track coach, and he said they have kids out there as little as 5, but he said honestly, like this is like an AAU track team. Like they like go, like they travel a lot. What I told him,
traveling.
Yeah. So what I told him, what I'll probably do though is take my son out there and just have him practice with them. You know what I'm saying? Like not necessarily be on the team, but just like be out there, run with kids that's in his age group. And just understand track, understand the different, 100 meters, 200 meters, 300 meters, 400 meters coming out the blocks, like, what hurdles are, if that's something that he wants to end up doing because he has long legs. So I'm just going to get him introduced to it this spring and summer time frame. So the coach said it was cool. He's like, just let him know, whatnot, because there's other parents that's already doing that as well. So,
okay.
So yeah, I'm definitely going to look forward for that because my son is real fast. Like that Duke is fast as I don't know what. But yeah, so last weekend, that was pretty much all we did. It was the Bestie Fest. I mentioned a second ago, I played golf on Tuesday, so that was really fun. That's one good thing about, the weather and the month, changing is, we're getting closer and closer to that consistent warm weather. So I'm looking forward to that. Had a couple of closings at the end of this week, or end of this month, I should say, as well. That was pretty good. Especially during this time of year when it's a little bit slower. It was funny at one of my closings, man. I had to bring out my dance moves. It was funny.
I saw the video.
Oh, you did? You saw the video? I posted on social media. Yeah.
That was so funny.
Yeah. So the buyer, she was real cool too, man. She was military, active duty, and pretty much this whole transaction, she was overseas, and so she just got back. Like she got the house under contract overseas and everything. So she just got back literally like I want to say maybe 3 weeks ago. And so it was cool. Like she was really down to earth, really cool. She's from Carolina, so the same place that I'm from. So we were kind of, talking about certain things or whatever, from back home. And then, at closing or whatnot, she's still she's a little younger than me. So she's into, obviously all the TikToks and all of that or whatever. She was like, Bryan, you got to come to I haven't been to a closing actually in a while. So she was like, you got to come to the closing. We got to do a TikTok. We got to do this. We got to do that or whatever. So I was like, all right. So I came to the closing and then she had like a whole production, man. Like she had her boyfriend there with her. And then, had a person to hold the camera and do certain things. Like, we did, 4 or 5 different, dances to different songs. Like, it was a lot. You know what I mean? So, but it was cool, though. She had a really, really good time with it.
That's funny.
Yeah. And it's funny. So, the house that she bought, too, I have an investment property in a neighborhood called Kings Point, a condo. Nice over in Western Branch in Chesapeake. She actually bought, they have... smaller condos. That's what I have, and they have actual townhomes and then homes. Yeah. So she bought homes. Single family homes. Yeah. So she bought a house. She bought one of the houses out there, which was really nice area. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was pretty much I would say the work week. For the most part, a couple closings. Like I said, the highlight was that me pulling out my dance moves.
Skills.
Yeah, my little snap.
What is that?
Hey, what was the song? Yeah, the Franchise Boys song. You know what I'm talking about. It's the you know what I'm talking about, right? No?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the song? You gotta help me out.
I don't know the song, but I know what you're talking.
Okay.
I know the dance.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we hit that move. And it was cool. It was good. What about you? How was your week? You said that you took the kids to the park, right?
Yeah, I took them to the park Tuesday. Yesterday, I actually went to a business entrepreneur networking event at the oceanfront. That was fun because I invited a couple of agents that I work with, and so we went together as a group. And we met each other there, but we had fun. It was a really good time. It was funny because the person who was hosting it, her social media person, you gotta see it to understand what I mean. So it was one girl, she was getting the content, and then her bestie was standing behind her with the light to make the lighting better in the area. And it was so funny because every time they would come and take pictures, one would have the camera and then one would be standing over with a backlight. Oh, wow. It was so cute and funny, but I liked it a lot. So they gave us a new perspective on social media and how to improve your content just by watching them. Yeah. Because I'm not a social media person. I post stuff, but it's boring. I ain't gonna lie.
It's boring.
It's just me, living my life. So I try to put together some videos and download some apps to see if I can try to bump my social media up just a little bit. But last night they were doing interviews with different people. They had really good drinks there. I had a Lux Libation or something like that. It was really, really good.
What's up?
And then the venue was pretty. I've never been. It was at the Moxie Hotel at the Oceanfront on Atlantic Avenue. Yeah, it's so pretty. They have a slide for the kids that comes from the second floor down to where we were in the lobby. And so the kids can walk up the steps and then come down this slide, and it's like all black. And the kids were just coming out just like, I had one kid lost all his stuff out his pockets. He had so much fun, and teenagers was all in there. Yeah. So it was a nice little area, and it was a nice time. So I liked it a lot.
Let's go.
So,
that's dope.
Yep, did that. And then, was it Sunday? I think it was Sunday. I took my daughter to the mall at Saturday. It was Saturday. I took her to Lynn Haven Mall, and Lynn Haven has this rule where the parent has to be present with the kids at all times after 4 p.m.
For real?
Yes.
Wow.
You cannot just drop your kids off at the mall.
Oh, man.
So
that's terrible.
Got there, and she was like, can we go to the mall? I was like, I knew I had saw the sign before because Lynn Haven has it posted everywhere. And so I remember seeing the sign, and I was like, I think you got to have a parent. So she was like, can you just come with me and my friends? So her friends' parents dropped them off, and we all were there. And I walked around that mall for 4 hours with teenagers. I told her this would never happen again.
Man, that's crazy, though. I remember growing up, especially, obviously I grew up here in this area. I remember getting literally every Friday, that was like the move. And even sometimes on Saturdays where, and that's how you got to meet people outside of your school district, right? I went to Tallwood in Virginia Beach. And so Lynn Haven Mall, is actually right across the street from where we're at right now.
Yeah.
But Tallwood High School is about 15 minutes away from Lynn Haven Mall.
Correct.
And so I remember growing up, like on Fridays, I had my boy, Smalley. His granddad was like, I don't know if you probably had this too, but like this before you could drive, before he was able to drive. His granddad was like the OG. Like he would take us everywhere. He just loved the relationship, obviously, with his grandson. So, when he was retired military. So anytime we wanted to go to like a party or we wanted to go somewhere, he was down to take us any and everywhere and pick us up. And he had this big old thing. We used to call it the mystery machine, like Scooby-Doo. You know what I'm saying? Because it won't even in those seats in the back. It was one of them doors you opened up, like a, industrial type of, truck that people, that painters and, electricians and stuff have. And we would just be all
kidnappers.
Sitting. Yeah, there you go. Kidnappers too. And we would all be sitting in the back of that joke, man. It'd be like 4 or 5 of us just sitting there. Every bump, we filling the bumps and all the time, make sure our shoes don't crease and everything before we go to the mall. But man, we would literally get out of school, high school. This is high school time. So, got high school 2:30, 3 o'clock. Sometimes we go to the barbershop or whatever, and we would get dropped off at the mall at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. And we would walk around that mall, man, until the mall closed at 9 o'clock. We would literally walk around.
It closed at 8 now.
Closed at 8 now. We would literally walk around that mall till 9 o'clock. And then a lot of times what we would do is after that, we would either go to like the movies, right? Because sometimes like, we would try to, we were trying to see girls. I mean, that's what guys were doing, obviously. So we were trying to like link up with some girls and go see a movie with them.
Yeah.
Or there used to be a place called Funscape. Which is like a big arcade where everybody used to go to as well.
Yeah, we had an arcade that we used to get dropped off at, but I didn't go there too much, and I did not hang at the mall. Yeah,
we used to walk across, from the mall to, there to go play or whatever, because that place didn't close till like 11, I think 11 or 12.
At what age was this?
This was high school.
I know, but what, 9th grade? 11th grade?
Yeah, same, because your daughter's in 9th grade, right?
Yeah.
Same age as your daughter right now.
Okay.
Same thing. Yeah, it was like I said, it was right before, it was high school, it was right before we could drive. So, I started driving my sophomore, like towards the end of my sophomore year. So this was like that freshman year, like early sophomore years when we started doing this.
So when you start driving, were you still hanging out at the mall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or, I mean, the mall kind of got, I would say, old or not as fun like around like junior, senior year, because the mall was one of them things where it was like we would go to the mall because we didn't have transportation, like go hang out with people directly. Mm-hmm. So we would just say, everybody would know, hey, the mall is kind of meetup spot, right? But once you could start driving for real, like you didn't have to necessarily, anywhere. Yeah, we can go anywhere. We didn't have to be centralized to just going to the mall. You know what I'm saying? So
same for us when I grew up. They did hit up the mall, but I wasn't a mall person. I would go to the mall for a reason. And then I also worked at the mall. So my very first job was at Kids Foot Locker. So I didn't want to go to the mall if I didn't have to be there.
Makes sense. Makes sense, yeah.
At all. And I started, my parents, they let me drive without a license. And, you know, I was 14 driving.
Yeah.
14 and 9 months. Once I got my permit, because where I lived, you had to be 14 and 9 months to get your permit. Once I got my permit, you might as well said I had a license because I was driving. I couldn't drive at night. They wouldn't let me, you know, drive late in the evening or anything. But yeah, for leisure, going to work, stuff like that until, yeah.
That's how my boy Los was. Los, he had, but Los, his age, so Los was like, I don't know, I guess because of how his birthday fell, because his birthday was in September. It was like mid-September, but Los was really, really young. So like.
Yeah, he like me.
Yeah. So he was like, I remember in high school, my birthday being in December, I turned 18 while I was in high school. Now, everybody didn't do that. Some people have birthdays, you know, March, April, May, and they turned 18 towards the end, or they had summer birthdays. Like, Los was 17 even in college, like, you know, because his college started that following August. So he was even 17 in college. So Los' parents, they were really, really nice. They allowed him to do a lot of things that my parents wouldn't allow me to do. So he, like you just said, like the same thing. Like they would let him drive even before I was able to drive, and I'm older than him. You know what I'm saying?
That's how it was for me because I was born July 30th. So obviously everybody who turned 17 that fall, I had to basically wait to the next fall to turn 17. Yeah. I was always behind everybody else.
Yeah.
So I was young driving.
Yeah. And see, that's for me. I was, with me being 18 in December, turning 18 in December, my senior year of high school, like growing up, a lot of the people, even to this day, a lot of people I hung out with was always older than me because like the age that I was, it was really kind of that in between where like I was really hanging around people that were a year, 2 years older than me because that's kind of who I grew up with outside and playing with. Yeah. Even though my grade as far as like with how the calendar year ends and all that. I
look back at like people who I hung with, like my best friend, Latrice, we're practically the same age, but everybody else that I hang out with, even to this day, I am the youngest person. Yeah. Yeah, that's how everybody who I'm like cool with, they're all like 40, 45, even 50. Yeah. Like they're a lot older than me. And so when we talk about things, and you know, there's certain things that I don't do. Like I'm not like I like Michael Jackson, but I'm not listening to Michael Jackson's music on my leisure. You know what I mean?
Missing out, man.
I mean, I'm not. That's just what I like, right? Yeah. And so when they play like some of the music, like I know all the songs. Don't get me wrong. I know the best of every song. Like I even know Jay-Z songs, but I don't listen to Jay-Z. You know what I mean? Like I can recite them things just about as good as you, but not as good. But I can keep up.
Yeah.
But I don't listen to him on a regular. That's just because of radio. He's very popular, so I learn the lyrics. But it's funny because when I go to some of these events, they listen to some of this old school music, and I'm listening to it because I know it. But it's not the music that's going to get me out my seat like, oh, shoot, that's my jam. No.
It's coming, though. You're getting older. 40 is knocking at the door. So when as you get older, them songs that you like now, that's what they're going to start to fall into that category of like, that's my jam, like how you said. Like, you just ain't got there yet. You close, close.
Of course. Of course. I was listening to was it a podcast? It was something on social media, and the 25th anniversary of Juvenile backed that thing up.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It was recent.
Came out when I was in middle school. I remember that
recent. It's so the 25 year was like just a couple weeks ago or something like that, right? And so the social media video
years ago, that's
25 years ago, 1999. Yeah.
99 and 2000. Yeah, that's Juvie.
Yeah. So
hey, that's crazy.
So the video was like, it was like this lady, this black woman, and she was like in her business suit, all professional, and then you know how Juvenile's beat dropped, and then all of a sudden, you know, her shoulders start moving. She's like, hold on, wait, and then as soon as the beat dropped, she started, you know, shaking her butt and stuff. And then the caption said, like, it don't matter how professional you are. If you hear this song, you go dance to
Man, I tell you what, like that's crazy. You just put in perspective for me because I remember them. I remember being at middle school, right? 8th grade, Brandon Middle School. Shout out to Brandon Middle School. I was in Brandon Middle School, and they had an 8th grade dance, and it was in the gym. And I remember that joint was so hot in there. The gym to this day at Brandon Middle School is still hot. I remember I actually went there. I went there for something. I think I was when I was coaching. We would have practices there sometimes because it was like
you
our
needed
gym was,
it. Yeah,
you know what I mean.
The
And
space.
so,
Yeah.
yo, man, it's like I don't know why it's like that, but their gym is just unusually hot. Like it's hotter than even if there's nobody really in there. Like it's hot, right?
Yeah.
So I remember, man, we had our senior, not a senior, but 8th grade dance or whatever, and I remember that song coming on, and I remember like seeing girls like backing it up, right?
Well, back then.
And so now, what I was about to say is that I remember that, and I just remember like, wow, like I can't believe this is going. Like, I mean, I was dancing with them too. Don't get me wrong, but it was just like I just remember that like vividly. So to say that it was 25 years ago, that's crazy.
It is.
It's
it
crazy.
is.
I remember, we took our shirts off and everything because it was so hot, and I remember like teachers were there. Teachers that were normally like mean, they were kind of like letting us like get away with it a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like being a little bit more lenient. And I was like, yo, that's so-and-so. That's Mr. What's the name? Like, we were like, we can't do it around there. And I remember him just kind of like, go ahead, do your thing. You know what I'm saying? I was like, wow. So, yeah, that's crazy.
25 years ago.
That's sick.
Ain't that crazy?
That's sick. Yeah.
So if you was in, no, we was in the same grade. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, 99, I was in middle school. I was my last year. I started high school in 2000, 2001.
Yeah. I remember. So did you go to any of the Lil Wayne concerts back then? Remember when Hot Boys?
Nah, I didn't go.
I didn't go to any either because my parents wouldn't let me go. But I really wanted to go. And I remember like concerts being like a huge thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I remember the first concert I ever went to, it. And my parents, I hope they're not listening, they didn't know. They still probably don't know to this day.
That's so funny.
Yeah, because this was... so
how did you get in a concert?
So I'll tell you. So it was a very thought out plan. So it was my boy Anthony, and his brother Jamel, right? And so what happened was, it was, again, as you mentioned, Jay-Z. Everybody who knows me, Jay-Z is my favorite, and he was my favorite. I got introduced to Jay-Z right around middle school time. That's when he became my favorite rapper. So it was a Rough Rider Rockefeller tour. Everybody knew about that tour. That's when DMX was hot. He was, doing this thing, and then Jay-Z was doing this thing. They had the backstage tour and all that or whatever, right?
Okay.
Rockefeller was just bubbling. So, and, Hard Knock Life had just came out, so that song went mainstream. That was kind of the song that kind of got me to like him for real. But anyway, they had the Rough Rider Rockefeller tour. It was at Hampton Coliseum. Mind you, I'm from the beach. It was a Hampton Coliseum, and it was like on a Wednesday or Thursday night, right? So it was the middle of the school week. So what we did was, I had told my mom and my dad that I needed to go to my buddy Anthony's house to finish the school project. So I went to his house. Mind you, it's no school project. And Aunt had an older brother named Jamel who drove, right? And his parents was very lenient. Like, they didn't, like, they just whatever. Like, I think Jamel was probably like 17. I think he was probably like junior, senior in high school at the time. And we was in middle school. And I remember we go, I say, hey, I'm going to stay here. I was like, Mom, you know what? I had a whole plan, like, hey, I'll be over here. The project's going to take a long time. Can I just stay here and go to his house, go to school from his house the next morning? I'm a good kid. My parents ain't questioning nothing, right? So we went with Jamel. He had one of his homeboys, and it was me and Aunt in the back seat. And, man, that was, to this day, one of the best experiences of my life. We go to the concert. I seen Jay-Z. He had Maya, that song Best of Me remix. She came out. Like, that was like a thing or whatever. Like, I was like, yo, I was sitting there. We had horrible seats. So we had horrible seats, but I mean, we were in the building. You know what I mean? So, and then it was funny the whole time me and Aunt was like, yo, should we tell anybody at school? Like, we were sitting on that, sitting on how we had went to that concert that night. But we didn't want to tell nobody and get around and, like, our teacher find out and tell our parents or whatever. So we held on to that joint, like, to the death do us, whatever. And, but that joint was fun. That was the first concert I went to, and I was probably like 13 at the time, I think. Yeah.
Wow. My daughter been asking me to go to concerts, and I'm like, girl, I don't even like concerts. We're gonna have to find a real good one, because there's no way that I can go and sit through a Tyler the Creator concert.
Well, Tyler got hits. I would go to Tyler. What's it called? Concert. No. Yeah, Tyler got songs, man.
She loved Tyler, the Creator. Yeah. Like, you know how back in the day we used to have posters on our walls in our bedrooms and stuff? She has Tyler. So she's into record players. So she has his records. And when you buy records nowadays, they got, like, posters and stuff that you could put on the wall.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
she got like all these different Tyler, the Creator posters on her wall. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so over this Tyler, the Creator.
Do me a favor. Next time you talk to your daughter, ask her what her favorite Tyler, the Creator album is. I'm just curious of what she was her. Do you already know that?
It's the one.
Is it Igor? Is it was it the
Not the pink one with his hair slanted and
Yeah, that's
he's really
Igor.
dark. Not
Yeah,
that one.
That's my favorite one.
It's
That
the
one's fire.
other one. It's the one. Well, yeah. I think it's the one where it's like flap, like
butterflies and stuff
yeah,
in the background.
Yeah, I think that's the one that
one's
she liked.
that's my second favorite one. That one's actually really, really good.
But she told me that when she first got her record player, she asked me to get the one with the pink
Okay.
the first time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's her. Well, you can,
Igor, that's my favorite one.
Yeah.
And the one you're talking about is Flower Boy.
Yeah,
Flower
she
Boy.
just got that this
Cherry
weekend
Bomb is
at the
actually
mall.
really good too.
She don't have that one.
Wolf is good too.
She has Wolf.
Yeah.
I think
Tyler got hits, man. Do you listen? Do you hear it? Do you
No.
listen? Nah, you don't listen? Okay.
No.
Yeah, you don't know good music, man.
What?
You don't know good music. Man.
Wow.
You don't know good music, man.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then when we were in the mall, we were at Barnes and Nobles. This little boy came up and tried to holler at my daughter.
Were you like, when y'all were at the mall, were you like really close? Like, cause she like, were you close enough?
Yeah, we had to. Yeah, because the security in there, they were carding like
Carding?
Yeah.
So what do you mean they were
ID to see how old you were, and if
Like
you didn't have
where?
a parent
Like
with
just
you,
walking around the mall?
Walking around the mall.
Oh wow, this is
Like
crazy.
you talking about, there was security at every main entrance. So
Oh, wow.
all the main entrances, like not the store entrances, but the like, when you go and it says Lynn Haven and then it's like,
Mhm.
So there was security there at every entrance, plus security just walking the mall. And they were going up to kids and saying, let me see your ID.
Oh wow.
If there wasn't a parent in the vicinity.
Do Lynn Haven still got? I remember anybody who's listening out there. I know that's from here. People used to remember the carousel. Does Lynn Haven still got that carousel at all? Like, how you see carousels at a theme park that like you can ride like the pony and goes up and go down. Nah, probably not. They probably got rid of that. I ain't been to Lynn Haven Mall in a while, but
I don't recall seeing anything
carousel.
like that.
Yeah, that was like a staple. Like people was like, "Yo, we'll meet at the carousel. We'll meet at like that's like the place. It was real lit up. If you didn't see it, if you walked around the mall 4 hours, you would have seen it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you would've
Then
seen
no.
it. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, so
I
it's not
didn't
happening
see
more.
anything
Okay.
like that.
Yeah.
But 4 hours, man. Four.
That's some good exercise.
I-
I mean, that's how I would look at it.
Just imagine being with three teenagers for 4 hours.
That's true.
Okay, I'm gonna let that sink in.
That's true. That is true. That is true.
And it was just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I was like, oh my gosh, y'all need to figure out what y'all want to do. Like there was no order to their madness.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, let's go to Barnes and Nobles. Well, let's go to H&M, and then let's go back to Dick's, and Dick's is by Barnes and Nobles.
Yeah, yeah.
Come on now. Like, we're just back and forth throughout the store.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it was the whole entire time. But we've talked enough BS. Now it's time to drop into some mortgage topics. I know that earlier you talked about, what was it? What report came out?
Yeah, the PCE report came out.
report.
Yeah,
Oh.
so it just shows inflation data. It came in pretty much where they thought it would, actually a little bit better than they were thinking. So we did see a positive movement in rate. I think this was yesterday, right? It was yesterday or the day before yesterday. I can't remember.
Yeah,
But,
I don't remember. No, it was,
Wednesday or Thursday. It was one of the two. My days run together.
I think it was Wednesday.
Wednesday. Okay.
I think it was Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it was Wednesday too. So
Yeah.
So that was good. Hopefully, we start seeing these the Fed cut these rates here soon. I know they're meeting. I think it's like March 8th. No, is it March 16th, 18th, something like that? It's middle of March.
Is it mid-March? I thought
Yeah.
it was like the first week, like at the end of the week, like 9th, 10th, 11th, that time.
Sure, you might be right. I don't know.
But anyway,
Right. I know
they're going to be meeting soon.
Yeah, I think it's the second week of March, so you probably are right then.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So they're meeting very soon. Hopefully, I know they're probably not going to start the Fed. They're probably not going to start cutting rates then, but hopefully they say, hey, next month we'll do it, or
Yeah.
something. You know what I mean? Give some type of positive
We need
insight on it. Yeah, yeah. So,
we definitely need it.
yeah, so that came out this week. I had a couple of conversations with some folks, man. Something I wanted to talk about. It's funny because I actually had this conversation with my parents a couple of years ago. So the house that my parents grew up in, or I grew up in, my parents bought back in 1994. And so they lived there for a long time, close to 30 years. And they were looking at trying to get something else, but they didn't want to pay, the mortgage payment on something, that would garner how much you would have to pay for it right now. I think my parents' mortgage payment was like $800, right? So, to buy a house that they were looking at now was in the $400,000 to $500,000 price range. I mean, it was going to be like triple that, you know what I mean? Even more than that, depending upon, certain things or whatever. My dad is 100% disabled vet, so he's exempt from property taxes. So that does help. But for the average person out there who's not like that, I mean, who's going to have to pay a significant amount. So
correct.
I was having a conversation with a couple of folks that are of that same generation as my parents. And it was crazy just kind of explaining that you could, if you have a house that you've been in for a long time, you're looking for something new, looking for something different, you're getting ready to enter the latter years of your, of your life. And you want to have something maybe that's one level, right? Where it's not upstairs and downstairs. And you have some different, pains and things that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. You don't have to keep going up and down the steps. And you want to have a one-level house, then, buying something that, is a ranch would be more suitable for you, right? But the conversation I had with a couple of people, they just didn't really understand, like, hey, you can sell your current home, take the equity that you would make, the money that you would make for selling your home, and use that as a down payment on your new purchase, right? And so if you were to go about it that way, the payment on that mortgage actually wouldn't be very much different from what you're paying right now. And so even though that sounds very basic, some folks that I spoke to, I had a conversation with multiple different people this week. They were just like, oh, I didn't think of it like that. Like, I didn't know that I could do that. I guess they were kind of thinking of it from the standpoint of like, when buying a new house, just putting the bare minimum down, right?
Right.
Versus like, hey, all this hard work and time and diligence that I've done paying my mortgage over these 25, 20, 30 years, whatever it may be, you can utilize the monies that are now, attached to that particular property. You could sell it and then put it, for that next home. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so, like, for instance, like the couple that I was talking to, they owe like $70,000 on their current home. And the house was worth like a little over $400,000 right now, right? It was in Virginia Beach. And so what I was explaining to them, and the houses that they're looking for that they think that would be suitable for them are right around like the $500,000 price range, right? So I was like, hey, what you can do is you have roughly close to about $300,000 in equity in your home right now. You could sell the home, get $300,000, utilize that money, put it down on that $500,000 new home that meets your needs where you are currently in your life, and your new loan amount that you owe is $200,000, and a payment on $200,000, I mean, it's not going to be very much. I mean, you're talking maybe $1,300, and that's honestly comparable to what they're already currently paying right now. You know what I'm saying? So you could essentially trade houses, and you also still not losing that equity. Now, this equity that you have, it's not like you went and spent that money. You just put that money towards this house.
Absolutely.
And so you still leverage, what you did over that 30-year time frame into your new house, and you're now in a more comfortable environment for where your living conditions are now. So I know that's something that's very basic. I think we may even touched on it before. We talked about recasting before, how people can do that. But, just understand, like, hey, you don't have to, like, be in your current living situation and like not feel comfortable, not know that there are options available for you to kind of better your living situation based on where you are in your life now.
Yeah.
And then keep the cost out of pocket on a monthly basis pretty similar. In some cases, maybe even better than what you're paying out right now, or at least close to it, where it's not some type of significant. Because I know a lot of times, when you're getting that age, you're looking at retirement and you're looking at trying to get costs down as much as possible, right? Because you're maybe no longer working. But if you can keep that payment be close to the same what you're paying right now, I mean, that might put you in a better situation, a better living situation. And you can live longer.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And even utilizing that money to pay off debts. I mean, you could do that too. I mean, it's all about strategically looking at your interest rates on all the debts that you have and what's going to benefit you more.
Yeah, and just looking at your house that you've paid for however many years you've been in as an investment. Like, that's ultimately how you got to look at it, as an investment, Yep.
Yeah. Absolutely. I had a conversation last night with he was the director of a data facility that basically stores data for major companies and keeps their confidential information as a backup server on a backup server. And we were taught he bought in November. and we were talking about appreciation, and he was just asking me about interest rates and things like that. And I was telling him, you know, the rates haven't gone down yet. And he was like, yeah, he was like, that was, you know, what we were thinking that was going to happen 6 months after I bought the house. And I was like, well, the good thing is that you secured the house.
Yeah.
And I said, we're in a time where we have inflation and we have appreciation happening at the same time, which is not heard of.
Yeah.
That usually never happens,
Yeah.
right? And so it's a time of a lot of unknown, and we are still trying to understand this new market currently. You know, this is going to be something that's going to definitely go down in history.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
Yeah. Because it's never happened before. Like, think about that. Like 40 years from now, when with God's grace, 40 years from now, we're going to look back and be like, y'all remember that time back in 2020 when the pandemic hit and rates was 1.99%?
Yeah, it's going to be in the history books, like, for real.
Absolutely.
Like, I remember going to school, being in history class, and I was looking at, like, I was, you know, let's say in the 90s or even early 2000s in school, and they were talking about things that happened back in the 60s and the 70s. Like, so, 40 years from now,
40 years from now, this is going to be in the history books.
Yeah,
and we're going to be, there's going to be statistics that show what happened with us now. And then if there's ever something that happens in the future, this will be what they use that information for. So just right now, we're in an unknown time frame. We really don't, we're figuring that out.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Every day we're figuring it out.
Yeah.
Now, a new change that's going to be happening. When did you say effective 2025?
Yeah, so I was reading actually last night that, and I don't have all the information on it. I know Sophia has a little bit more, so I'll let her dive in more than I will. But yeah, there's in the end of 2025, so a year and a half from now, they're going to change the way they evaluate your credit score when it comes to purchasing a home with Fannie and Freddie Mac. So mainly your conventional
loans.
Yeah. So I know a lot of time we get people that come to us and, you know, they're looking at their score through like Credit Karma, you know, some of these other apps that, you know, kind of give you an idea of where your score is through the way they evaluate the metrics for your score. And then, you know, the way we do it is different than those systems, right? So a lot of times those systems show their score being higher than what it is when they come to us because we deal with the FICO score, right? So now the change that they're going to make in 2025 at the end of the year is going to be actually more favorable for the consumer. So they're going to actually utilize, you know, those metrics, not all of them, but some of them, to help, you know, the buyer score, you know, be a little bit better than what it is based on the system they've used for, 20, 30, 40 years. It's been a while since they've been doing it. So, yeah.
So right now, I believe that they're using what's called the classic FICO score. I don't recall what model that is. But based on what I read, the article that I read on, I think it was Fannie Mae's website, it said that they are going to implement FICO Model 10T and the Vantage Point 4.0 model, which the Vantage Point is what you currently see being used for some of these banks where you have a bank account and you can look and it'll say, you want to know your FICO score, and it'll say Vantage Point or Vantage. And Credit Karma is one of the companies that uses Vantage. And so they'll utilize both of them to accumulate a new mortgage score.
Yeah.
And they're even looking at, instead of using a tri-merge credit report where we use all three scores, they're even thinking about implementing it where we only use 2 of the 3 scores for the conventional loan. Now, one of the dilemmas, and I'm going to read this verbatim, that they're still trying to overcome is, let's see, it was what model to use. That was one of them. Like they haven't really indicated like what 2 scores should we use? Should we use Experian and TransUnion? Should we use TransUnion and Equifax? Should we use Equifax and Experian? They really don't know how they want to use that, and then they don't know if they want to use the lower of the 2 scores or the higher of the 2 scores. So they're still trying to work out those kinks, but hopefully they'll stay on pace and actually make some of these changes by the end of 2025 like they're expecting to do, because that's going to help a lot of consumers when it comes to evaluating credit to qualify for a mortgage. Because like you said, the Vantage credit model, that one is what's shown on Credit Karma. And so you do find that your credit scores are a little bit higher. And if they are showing higher on there, it's because they utilize some of those little nuances like your rental payments being on time and, you know, payments that you've done in the past, month or 2 months. And that's how they're finding or accumulating those credit scores. So if we can use that model in addition to some of your more traditional models, your average would end up being a little bit higher than it normally would when evaluating credit for a mortgage. So.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's a good thing we're talking about that this week as well. We got one of our referral partners coming in town next week from Ohio, my buddy Steven. He's going to talk more about like business credit, right?
Yeah.
So he's going to be able to
important.
Explain to you how to leverage business credit and how you can, help some of these entrepreneurs kind of start things off, have some capital to get things rolling. And really just, a lot of times when we try to buy something or get something off the ground, we're using our personal credit, running up credit cards, and that's having a negative impact on your personal credit score, right?
Yeah.
And then on your personal credit score, then that's going to limit you from what you can do for that next move, right? Until you've, paid off those credit cards or whatever the situation may be. So being able to leverage your personal credit score, if it's good, obviously, and develop business credit, and then have it separate, right? So have your business credit doing its thing and not running up credit cards on your personal side and kind of having that negative impact. So definitely looking forward to Steven coming through next week and dropping some gems and some information on how to do that.
I used to be a small business specialist. So I used to, as a profession, before I got into mortgage, I actually used to visit small businesses in Miami. And I would go into their businesses and look at how they're utilizing their transactions, what merchant services they were using. I would take a look at the current rates on some of the products that they had for their business, and then I would try to get them to move their whole portfolio over to me. Yeah, and that was tough, but yeah, because I had to really go out there and sell. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you had to hustle. Yeah,
but it was nice though because I used to.
I bet you still use probably some of those same, it's different
skills.
Mortgage,
yeah.
Some of the same skills with what we do today, right?
Yeah, it's all about your personality. I mean, obviously you got to have the products to back you, but it's all about how you can talk to people, how you can relate to people. If they actually like how you are as a person, then they are going to at least listen, because there's time to, give you the time to come in and actually speak to them, because it all starts on the phone sometimes. I'm cold calling people hey, I'm calling from this such and such, and just getting that invite to be able to come into their business. Or sometimes I would just walk into the business. It really just depended on the circumstance. Sometimes I would just walk in, let's say I was in the branch in the banking center and I was in my office and I didn't have any business clients coming. Then I'll be like, you know what? I'm about to get up out of here and go do something. And the financial advisor was right next door, and her name was she was a Black girl, Haitian girl named Gael. I'll be like, hey, let's go. let's go act like we doing something. I knew you have to really do something while you acting like you doing something.
I remember I met you, matter of fact, when you was working in the bank center. Yeah, you weren't doing nothing, man. You was in that joint chilling
hard.
I already know. I already know what time you was
on. Yeah. I work, but I play harder. I'm a hard worker, don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to say that I'm not. But at the same time, I do not believe it. I was talking to a lady the other day and I was talking about her income, right? And I was like, do you work overtime? She was like, no. I said, I feel you, because I am not an overtime worker either. I've never believed in working overtime.
Shit, I did.
No.
I don't know.
Absolutely. I remember my company, Chase. It was actually Chase Bank. They used to give out overtime like it was nothing. They used to be like, you want to work? No.
Well, it depends. Like I remember when I first started working at Bank of America,
Nah.
right? When I first started working at Bank of America, like I was doing the mortgage thing, right? Same thing I'm doing right now. And then they would allow you to like, work overtime as well. And so obviously I was a couple years out of college, so I'm probably like 22, 23 years old. And so if I didn't have like any plans, like, I would party all the time back then. So if I didn't have like any plans to like do anything, I would just be at home. So, I would just like, why not go work overtime, make a couple more dollars? That's how I look at it.
Yeah, that's
I would just
for
like, what
some
I would
people.
do is I would go, and what I would typically do is like, if I knew like this weekend I wasn't doing nothing, right? I'll just be at home on my couch, probably watching football or watching basketball. Then I would like go in and work Saturday morning or something, maybe work for like 4 or 5 hours, collect that double time, and then still be able to go do, if I wanted to go do something that night or whatever, it wouldn't impact that at all. Because I would just be at home anyway on the couch.
The only time I did it if it was mandatory. That's the only time I did it. If you asked me and it wasn't mandatory, absolutely not. Now, for me, it was because I was already working 40 hours. Working 40 hours a week is already a lot, right? Yeah. Especially when you have to use your mind. I didn't have to like physically do labor, but it was mentally draining talking to people. Yeah. And I worked, unfortunately, like in this particular time of my life, it was in the hood, right? Mm-hmm. And so you do find yourself talking in circles a lot when people don't understand. Yeah. I can
understand that.
Like people would come in there, couldn't read, couldn't write, like type of thing. Yeah. Like you really had to. People come in there, checkbook. This was back when we used to balance checkbooks. This is way back, Yeah. And so, no. I was like, when I went home, I went home. I didn't want to come back. I didn't want to work weekends, none of that stuff.
No, I feel you.
Now, if it was mandatory, I did what I had to do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I feel you. Something else I was going to bring up, too. I was talking to my buddy, man. He, which is actually a pretty cool thing to do. I know a lot of people who have bought into like the short-term rental space, like Airbnb. I know Airbnb has kind of gotten beat up in some of your different metropolitan areas with some of the different regulations and things that have come down the pipe, to kind of change how people go about doing it and some of the costs and things of that nature. Yeah. So my buddy, I helped him buy a house recently, and he actually bought it for another version of a short-term rental. It was in the insurance space. So, sometimes when let's say a homeowner has a home and something happens to their home. Let's say
a fire
accident, carbon monoxide, flooded, something happens in that, especially where we live. It does happen, right? Correct. In this area. And you're displaced. Those people are displaced. And sometimes you're displaced for months. Not just like a couple of days or even a week. You're displaced for an extended period of time. What he's done and what he's recently trying to get into is buy houses, furnish them, and then there's really only, he told me, like 2 major sites that these insurance companies, reach out to or go on to try to find housing for these people, that are being displaced for an extended period of time. Mm-hmm. And so he was excited because he just bought the house like a month and a half ago. He fixed it up, got it cleaned, got it furnished and everything like that. And so he put it out there, and he already has someone who wants to move in starting today, March 1st. He didn't give me all the information as far as how that person got displaced. I don't even know if he knows that or whatever, but it's a 6-month time frame that these people are trying to live in the home. That's what the insurance provider said. So, and they charge, kind of what the hotel going rate is, which was like, he says like $225 or $250, somewhere around there.
A day.
Yeah, a day, right? And so they're going to live there for 6 straight months. So I was looking at it, doing the math on it. And he was telling me like, hey, those 6 months alone is going to pay for the mortgage for the whole year. And then one thing he did mention to me that's
$7,500 a month.
Yeah. So that's
crazy.
That's like $40,000 roughly. Yeah, $42,000. Yeah. So he was like, that's going to pay for the mortgage for the whole month. For the whole year. Mm-hmm. One thing is the homeowner is responsible for the utilities, so they still got to pay. He said he still has to pay his own water. He has to pay the cable. He has to pay electric and all that stuff. But still, just that 6 months is going to pay for the mortgage, and he's going to make some money on top of it. And he was like, that's just 6 months. Right after these people leave, he's going to be looking to try to get somebody else in there. You know what I mean? And so it's kind of like a little niche market. I never even thought
about that.
Yeah, it's kind of like
that's
it's kind of
awesome.
like a little niche market. Maybe some of these Airbnb folks that are having difficulties, operating in that space, maybe they can kind of pivot sort of short-term rental in the insurance space, because from what I understand, there's a need for it. Because there's more accidents happening, especially here in our local area. They're just around other things, Mother Nature, things that can happen to your home that can displace you. And so we were even having a deeper conversation about strategically buying houses in certain areas where things are more prone to happen, because most of the time when people are, when they are displaced, they're trying to still be relatively close to where they currently live. So if they have kids in a certain school, they want to still be able to like get there easily. Or if they work and they bought that house because of where they work, they still kind of want to have that same type of travel or that same type of, driving time or whatever. So it was something that kind of piqued my interest, just having a conversation with him about it. So I'm definitely going to be thinking about maybe trying to grab one this year and just kind of seeing how that goes, So
I mean, even if there's so many different ways that you can utilize real estate, right? I was just talking to an agent, now that you say that, earlier this week, and she lives like by a hospital like hub, right? And so nowadays after COVID, there's so many different traveling nurses and nurses that come from other parts of the country to temporarily work at some of these locations. And so I was telling her, like, if you want to buy something new, I was like, instead of long-term rental, which is like when you have a renter that's renting a year at a time, I was like, why don't you do something in the nursing space where you're renting out these rooms for some of these traveling nurses so they don't have to stay in hotels. They can utilize the space, still have kind of like that home feel of having your own kitchen, dining area, and stuff like that. But that room is theirs. So anytime that they come back and they go home, come back, that's still their space that they're renting. And you could utilize that and rent out a room for almost $1,000 nowadays. You know what I mean? So, and if they're working, let's say that their contract is 8-9 months, the same thing as the insurance. So
Yeah, I mean, just,
or even college campuses, getting a house and renting it out to.
I mean, that's something that, like I said, just different ways to kind of go about things,
you just got to find your niche in your area.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just find your niche, find your area, find something, that there's a need for. That's always the thing that I've always was taught in business, is you always try to attack a need of what people are wanting, or maybe find something that is already going, but you can do it and show some people to be able to execute it a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? So I thought it was pretty cool, just a conversation I had with him about that. And I'll show my phone. There was a conversation I had with him about that, so it kind of piqued my interest and maybe think, because I've always just operated in the short-term rental, because I have a house in the Outer Banks where we rent on a weekly basis, and then also the Airbnbs, which is kind of like the short-term rental space as well. But obviously catering to the insurance side of that, I mean, it might be something to definitely take a look into.
Yeah. I met a guy last night who owns boats, and he does he has a tiki boat in not the Outer Banks, the Eastern Shore.
Okay.
The Eastern Shore. And so he was real cool. He walked up to me and he was like, "I know you." And it's this older white guy, and I was like, "Where do you know me from?" He was like, "From the Eastern Shore." I was like, "Nope. It ain't me. I ain't never been to the Eastern Shore."
That's why I told you, I helped a buyer recently that told me, I guess it deems true, and that's probably why he said that. But they say everybody in the Eastern Shore, like, they know each other, right? So you probably look like somebody maybe that he's familiar with or whatever. Yeah. But like he was like, because I had a buyer who I recently helped, who she's from the Eastern Shore, and so we and her was talking. And I was like, oh, I got a buddy, who I used to work out with and play basketball. And I was like, his actual girlfriend is my assistant. And I was like, he's from the Eastern Shore. And I mentioned, his name. She was like, oh, that's like, his sister is like my goddaughter's, so I was just like, wow, like, so yeah.
And then on top of that, I mean, not to be funny or mean, he was white. So, sometimes I get this a lot where, people of another race, they don't really remember my face. They just remember that I'm a black girl with braids.
Yeah.
I've had some coworkers introduce themselves to me about 4 or 5 times. And I think it was like the 3rd or 4th time, I was like, my office is right across from yours. And they were they turned red.
That red boy, that red coming
So
quick.
embarrassed. And I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Same girl, just different hair.
I know exactly what you're talking about, too. That's funny, man. That's hilarious.
He knows me now, though.
Yeah, he does.
He know me now.
Yeah. That's funny, man.
Yeah, so, yeah, the Airbnb space is still a space that you can get into. You just have to really know your niche and figure out that need, for sure.
Correct.
For sure.
So, something I know we talked about last Thursday when we had the Margarita Day, the Margarita event. It was funny. We were all kind of catching up beforehand before everybody started showing up. And we were talking about Love is Blind.
Oh,
the TV
yes.
show.
Yes.
So I think at that time you hadn't caught all the way up.
I'm all the way up.
So you're all the way up.
All the way up.
So I want you to tell me what you as far as what's going on. I guess because the ones that came out Wednesday was 2 episodes.
Correct.
So give me your your thoughts on it.
Who you want me to start with?
Hey, wherever your mind and heart leads you, girl.
Jeremy is the asshole of all assholes.
Oh man.
He is I don't even know how to describe him, but the way he portrayed himself and then some of the follow-up information that's on social media about him having a family. And then I went to the lady's page, the grandmother who posted him with the girl and the kid, and that same Hawaiian shirt in this last episode is in one of the pictures that's on her page.
Dang.
Look.
You did the detective work, didn't you? Goodness gracious.
I am a detective. Look, when it comes to finding something, I am going to find, look, what like the movie. I got a special set of skills. And when I find you, you will know.
That's funny.
No, but yeah, and Laura, she is very one thing that I could respect about her is that she's very straightforward, and to the wrong individual, she can come off as an asshole, but she tells you how it is, and I respect that. And he just couldn't.
Him being out at 5:00, seeing the girl with the girl Sarah Ann, like that was wild. Like I could only imagine me coming home at 5:00 at night. Like
at night, man, in the morning.
Or in the morning, yeah, she said that too. She was like something like, yo, it's the morning time or whatever now or whatever. But yeah, I could only imagine.
And then he tried to share
like
his location. Like that don't mean anything.
Yeah.
That means nothing.
Yeah, that was.
You shared your location. Okay, whoop de doo.
And then she was like, "Hey, Sarah Ann, the parking was here." Like she kind of like I guess knew
she
exactly.
She did her research.
Yeah, so she did like what you said, the detective work. And then she was like, "Yeah, that doesn't add up or whatever."
No.
And then he was like, "Well, yeah, I did, drop her off or something like that." I was like, "Yo, he's." But what I'm gonna tell you about that situation though, for real, like, and I even told Brooke this when we watched it. I was like, when they were in the pods, to me it was obvious he was feeling Sarah Ann more than he was feeling the girl Laura. So for me, I felt like he should have just picked her. And I think what happens sometimes, what I've noticed in the show sometimes, is when you have when people like 2 different people on that show, a lot of times what I've seen happen is instead of going with the person they really, really like and they feeling for real, because that's something that they probably are used to, people that they have had previous relationships with people that are like that. I guess they're trying to do the right thing or trying to go after something a little bit different from what they're accustomed to. And a lot of times I'm seeing it seem like that's just not the great philosophy of going about it. You know what I mean? Because in the pods, he was feeling the girl Sarah. He was feeling Laura too, but he was feeling her. Like you could tell the vibe. Like I'm sitting there watching, like he gonna pick her, and then he didn't pick her. You know what I'm saying? And then Sarah Ann sent him that DM. And I think that after that point, I felt like he self-sabotaged that situation. I feel like he was like, he didn't want to be the bad guy in the sense as far as like breaking up with Laura, like, hey, I'm about to go talk to her. So I feel like he stayed out past 5:00. He was okay with letting her know that information. He wanted her to be like the person to end it so he can do what he ultimately really wanted to do. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
That's kind of how I viewed that situation. Yeah.
And then AD and Clay.
Yeah. I tell you, the mom came through. She was dropping gems, man. The mom was. She
definitely was speaking on the truth, and I feel like, and I think I mentioned this to you with him. I do feel like he really is at a stage where he wants to change his life. He wants the family. I don't know if he's there yet to do it full on.
Yeah.
But I do believe that he is in that place in his life where he wants to do better.
So question though, you as a woman, like, I mean, I know you're married and everything like that, so I don't know if you can take that hat off or that lens off, but like, I know a lot of times the women, you know, the moniker that's out there is like, you know, a woman trying to change a man. You know what I'm saying?
Knowing what I know now at the age of 36, hell no. No.
So basically, because like from him, like what you just said, like,
you got to be there.
Okay.
Hey,
look, fellas, I didn't even get the question out.
Wait, I'm not dating with potential, no.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, because the dude was like, he seemed like he a decent guy, but it's like, he got a lot going on, man. I feel like he needs to talk to somebody. I don't know if he is already. I just feel like, because there's conversations he's having, and he's just like vomiting at the mouth, and you know, and it's cool that he's being transparent about how he feels to, you know, his fiance.
But he needs somebody to talk to.
But he's like saying things. He's like, yeah, well, you know, my dad cheated, and I'm not gonna cheat. I'm not saying I'm gonna, like, it's just like, and the impression, especially in the stage of where they are in their relationship, he just needs to know when and how and what to say in those circumstances. And
Correct.
I feel like he doesn't, and so it could be really off-putting. And it depends on if the person that's receiving that information can kind of look through that and say, hey, you know, like you said, there's potential there. You know, we can work through this type of situation or whatever.
Yeah.
But you wouldn't sign up for that, is what Sophia
No,
saying.
absolutely not. No.
That's funny.
No.
That's funny.
There's no way in 2 hells that I would ever do that.
Yeah, 2 hells.
No.
Dang.
2.
How does I don't know what there?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what's below hell, but it ain't happening. No.
That's funny. So that's them. And then the third couple, they look great. I mean, they overcame that, I think was it Johnny? Yeah, he met, and that was dope, man. He, like, him meeting her dad. I know it was one thing that they wanted was the blessing, and the dad just giving gems. Like that's something that's gonna, I sit there and think about that all the time, man. Like when my daughter like gets to the point where she goes out and like meets somebody, and like, you know, the changing of the guard, as they say, like, you know, I got to now hand over my daughter to, you know, somebody like that joint, man. I ain't ready. I don't think I'm gonna ever be ready for that. Like, you know, but it was so nice to see that. And I think the dude, he seemed like he a really good guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I feel like that situation is going to work. But it was just really cool them sitting there, and he was talking about his daughter, you know, and how much, you know, he like how he just cared for her and all that. And then it was really, really nice, man.
I think that for them, they are really good for each other.
Yeah.
But I still, and I was telling my my best friend yesterday or day before yesterday, they just are so awkwardly like together. Like they don't match.
I agree.
Like looks wise, they just don't match, but they match.
Yeah.
So it works for them.
No, I agree. I think it's, so for me, what I've seen around me, and even myself, like the couples that normally work, it's normally like 2 opposites that both have maybe the same core values, but they're very different about how they go about doing things. Mm-hmm. And so like, it's kind of like they both get introduced to different ways, and it's like they meet, and then they both are able to grow and learn from those things and still have those same core values and grow. And then it's like the people who are like really close friends. Like, so people that are like, you know, best friends, male and female best friends, or friends that are just like, you know, they're cool, and they end up growing into that type of relationship.
Yeah, I think that
those are normally the 2 that I've seen around me or whatever, just kind of from personal experience, that like those are normally the ones that last the longest. You know, not based on just like your physical appearance, or this person looks good, whatever. Like, it's normally the substance behind those things are normally the things that I see that work long term.
It has to be the values. Yeah.
Because I feel like they got the same type of core values, both of them family. You could tell family oriented. Both of them are like that. You're right. If you've seen them like standing like there, they don't look like they match. You would think she probably would go like with a Spanish type of dude or something.
That's what I was thinking.
You know what I'm saying? You know, and he would go with somebody, you know, that's, you know, Caucasian as well, you know, but like, I feel like they got the same values.
Well, I think that he would, I think that him more so would go with someone Hispanic, just not her kind of Hispanic.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, how did you like how, I think her name is Jess, the one who has the child.
Yeah.
How do you think that she handled
Jimmy? So we didn't even get to the main event. We didn't get how much time we got. We got a little bit of time. We got some time over there. Okay. So yeah, Jess, when she went and talked to Jimmy at the pool, right? It was on the pool. I think she handled that joint actually really, really well.
Yeah.
Really well. I feel like, and I was even talking to my buddy. You said you were talking to your friend. I was talking to my buddy Los, shout out to Los, about this because he watches it too. And so we were talking about it the next day, and we were like, she's very emotionally intelligent. Like, I feel like the way that she looks, I mean, she's a good-looking woman. She kind of, to me, like, from face value, would think she's kind of ditzy, maybe like, whatever. I don't know, just, like the supermodel.
That's the perception that
but I feel like
is out there for pretty women.
Correct, it is, right? Unfortunately. But I will say, hearing her speak, hearing her be able to share her emotions in the situation about how she feels, I felt like I felt like that was actually, she did very, very well in that scenario. You know what I'm saying?
Did.
Yeah,
she did.
I agree.
Absolutely.
And it's funny, I was even thinking about it, and we'll jump into Jimmy and Chelsea in a second. But Jimmy and Jess, when they had that conversation, and then when Chelsea had a conversation with the dude Trevor, like, if you asked me before they both had those conversations, like, whose conversation would be more inappropriate, I thought that Jess would probably try to, like, holler at him, or Jimmy might just kind of fall back.
I didn't think that.
Like, I thought their conversation would be more inappropriate than Chelsea and Trevor, and I was surprised that Trevor was like trying to get at the girl Chelsea. Like, he was like, hey,
because she's his type, and vice versa. They are a better match than her and Jimmy. Her and Jimmy do not match well.
You talking about Chelsea and Jimmy?
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree to a certain, I agree. Like, I think that Jimmy, again, I told you from the beginning when we had first talked about this, I felt that Jimmy was going to pick Jess, but when she said the whole Megan Fox thing, that's why it's blowing up the way it's blowing up. I feel like that curved the way he thought about how, he feel like he had an image of how she was going to look, and I feel like on top of the feelings he had for her, that made him pick her. But looking at, when they sat down and they even met Jimmy's family, when Jimmy's family came out there, like, you had kind of like an old country bumpkin, mother, father, been together forever. Like, I kind of like see his family. I kind of, that made me look at him a little bit differently, you know what I'm saying, than I did initially. And I feel like that the girl Chelsea, I don't think, she's very insecure. I don't think it's going to work long term. I think he may actually say no on decision. Like,
I think they both going to say no.
Nah, Chelsea wants him bad. Like, she wants a marriage bad. She wants it bad. So I think
I think that she wants to win bad. I think that she wants to be in, like, I don't think that she wants him. I think that she wants to be engaged. She wants to be the winner of the show. Like, she wants, like, what comes with it. Yeah. She don't want that man. That's what I think.
That's actually a good way to put it. I mean, I agree with you, actually, in a sense. And it was crazy because when they had their argument, when they would blow it up, like,
it was so crazy.
Yeah, she was like, my man went to, I guess, for someone's birthday for an hour and a half, and then, like, she was losing her mind about that.
And she chose not to go.
Yeah, and she was losing her mind about that. But I do understand, again, because I have a rule when it comes to certain things, like, and then she brought up, like, I guess, remember, because they had lunch with two of his girlfriends. Jimmy has two female friends that he calls, like, best friends. He's really close with them. And I guess one of them, he's actually had sex with him before.
Absolutely,
and so for me, I
got that vibe from when they played the clip. I think it's the little light-skinned one. Because she kept hugging Jimmy. And I was looking at the TV and I was like, something ain't right with this. Why she keep hugging him? Like, she just kept, like, hugging him.
For real?
And I was like,
I didn't even notice that.
Go back and watch that scene.
Okay.
She kept hugging him. And I just was like, why does she keep hugging him? And then later it was revealed that there must have been some type of situation where he slept with one of them. Yeah. And in my opinion, I believe that he probably slept with the little one that had the white, because it was one who was sitting across from him, and then the I don't know, she looked like she might be white Hawaiian, something like that. She sat on the end, and then him and Chelsea sat next to each other. Yeah. The girl who was sitting directly across, I think that's the one that he might have had something with. Gotcha.
Yeah, he said the name, so I guess I just got to go back and look and see what each one of their names was. Yeah. Mackenzie or something like that. I can't remember. But anyway, like, I just feel like that situation, that would be hard for me. I don't know, like, to me, once a person
that line is crossed,
like you can't now double back and hey, we now friends. Like
right.
I just that to me is just something that
absolutely
that's a no go. Like you know what I mean, and
especially
I feel like
when you're married.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. To me, there's boundaries. Like, and once you, even if it was a, hey, one night stand, whatever it was, like y'all went there, and so that's always going to be in the back of everybody's mind. That's in that
situation. Yeah.
And so that's just not cool to me.
Yeah.
So I can't we can't be like your friend, and we hanging out, and like even if y'all are platonic at this point. That's
at the same time. She was mad because he left the house.
Correct. That had nothing to do with what was going on.
That had nothing to do with him, and she was
tried
pissed.
She tried to make it into being that because she was basically saying like that's who was also around. So maybe, yeah, but
you can't control that.
Yeah.
That's one thing you can't control because if they are friends, then they got all mutual friends.
Yeah.
Right. Usually that's how it works. If him and his if they're really his really good friends, usually they know the majority of the friends, depending on how close they are. Now, if it's a new friend, they might not know everybody. But if it's an old friend, somebody who's really like been around, they know everybody. So if whoever birthday it was, if they invited Jimmy, they probably invited them too, right?
Yeah.
So you can't control that. But she chose not to go. That's the thing. Like, if my spouse says, hey, I'm about to get ready and go, just have a drink with my buddy, come on. And I say, well, nah, I'm not going to go. That's on me.
Yeah.
Because I could have went.
Yeah.
I could have seen what was going on if I felt that insecure.
Yeah.
If I was an insecure person, tired. Oh, let me go drink a Red Bull. We gonna go.
Yeah.
But I would never be in a relationship where that would happen, where you going out for an hour and a half is so bothersome to me.
Correct.
That's not going to happen.
There's obviously some type of underlying insecurity there that
correct.
You overcome.
That you ain't overcame.
Yeah.
So then if I'm in a relationship where that's a problem, you going out is like making me feel like anxious, then we don't need to be there. We be together.
I feel you.
Period.
I feel you on that one. Yeah,
it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I would say that's I guess we went down a Love is Blind tangent. I can't wait to see, I guess, next episode. I don't know when the next episodes come out, probably next
March
week
6th. It's March 6th.
Okay,
yeah.
so it's coming week then.
And then another one comes out the week after. So this time they broke it up longer, which I don't like, but yeah.
Cool, yeah. I can't wait to see what ends up happening. I'll make my final predictions after I see the next episodes.
It's in my opinion that Jimmy and Chelsea.
Don't do it yet. We'll talk. But let's do an official.
But the marriages is going to start next week, so we got to give our opinion now.
They're going to start next week. I thought you said it's 2 episodes.
It is 2 episodes because next week they should be getting married, and then the week after is when now they're married and they come back together, right?
Oh,
that's what happened last season.
That's true. That's true.
Oh, okay.
Well,
so
let's give our prediction. I when you said 2 episodes, I was thinking like. The second episode was the decisions episodes, but I got you. I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah. Okay, so Jimmy and Chelsea not gonna make it.
What you got to say? Like who's gonna say what though? Like they both got to make a decision. So like who's gonna say what?
I think either one of them are gonna say no. I mean, they don't say no at the same time. So I guess whoever acts first is gonna be the person that say no.
Gotcha. So I think Chelsea would say yes, or she's gonna say yes.
Okay.
And I feel like Jimmy's gonna say no.
Okay.
So that's
And then
so at least both agree that they're not both gonna say yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Johnny.
Yeah, they got 2 yeses from
yes.
me. They'll say yeah. Yeah.
Clay and AD.
Yeah.
I think they're gonna say yes.
I don't. So I agree with you. I disagree with you there. So
okay.
I think that Clay is gonna say no.
Okay.
And the reason I think Clay is gonna say no is because if there was a part in this last one where it sounds like, and he brought this up to her, it sounds like he just wants to stay engaged. Like he wants more time before he makes that decision. I don't know if you caught that part.
I did.
Yeah. So
and she said that she wasn't willing to.
She said she's like, it's either we gonna say yes that day or we not gonna be dating after the joint's over.
Correct.
And I feel like he feels that he's gonna be feeling like he's rushed, that he needs more time to still kind of get through his thoughts, figure out. He's like, marriage is the big thing. Like he keeps talking about it, and I think he's gonna clam up and say no. I think he's gonna say no.
And then what's the last couple? Is there one more? Yeah. Because the other two they gone.
Yeah. Broke up.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's our decisions, official.
And I do think that something's gonna happen with Sarah Ann and Jeremy, and they gonna end up like being a couple.
Yeah.
Somehow.
They like. I mean, they like each other. I can tell they like each other. Yeah. I mean,
yeah.
They're not gonna have like a whole decision thing, though. I don't think so anyway. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, I think we're on time. So Again, we appreciate you listening to our podcast.
And we will see you next week.
See you next week.